You've probably been told that discipline requires suffering, that to get ahead, you just need to put your head down and push harder. Brute forcing productivity creates a direct biological conflict within your neural operating system. When you sit down to tackle a difficult task and feel that heavy physical sensation of dread in your chest, you are experiencing neural friction. Forcing yourself to ignore that friction leads to a steady erosion of your cognitive endurance over time. To understand why, look at how elite athletes train. In the gym, top performance coaches strictly cap intense physical workouts at 60 minutes. Pushing past that 1-hour threshold causes muscle breakdown, lower recovery rates, and a weakened immune system. Your brain operates on the exact same physical limits. Forcing your mind to grind endlessly for hours triggers an identical biological breakdown. The culprit is the amygdala, the brain's fear center. When you force a mental grind, the amygdala registers that strain as a physical threat, flooding your neural pathways with the stress hormone cortisol. Procrastination functions as a biological defense mechanism, attempting to save your system from self-inflicted cortisol toxicity. Elite focus requires a strategy that navigates around this defensive wall, rather than hitting it head-on. This brings us to a cognitive loophole known as the Huberman-Portal Method. Instead of starting your work with rigid structure, you begin with short bursts of unstructured, unpredictable physical movement, often called spontaneous play. This nonlinear movement sends signals from your inner ear's vestibular system straight to the executive centers of your brain, leaving the amygdala unactivated. Because the brain registers the state as safe exploration, it directs energy to the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for complex decision-making. Spontaneous movement signals the brain to shift resources into these high-level command centers without triggering a stress response. Once the brain confirms it is in an exploration state, it triggers a natural release of dopamine. This chemical reward comes from the nucleus accumbens, a region that pumps out a dense flood of dopamine independently of your conscious willpower. That wave of dopamine travels forward and saturates the prefrontal cortex, which fully prepares it for periods of intense concentration. By saturating these pathways, the brain lowers the perceived cost of the effort. The task that felt impossible minutes ago now appears as a low-friction opportunity for a chemical reward. Staring at a massive to-do list first thing in the morning often triggers the very friction that stops us from starting. The 5-minute reset protocol replaces that dread with a short burst of environmental novelty or unpredictable movement right before you sit down to work. It functions like an athlete's warm-up, priming the nervous system for an intense sprint rather than a long, depleting crawl. Utilizing this targeted window of play prevents the severe midday energy crash that typically follows the depletion of willpower. You are transforming work from a draining expenditure of energy into a sustainable period of high engagement. Success in this model is measured not by how much you suffer, but by the quality and depth of your attention. Over months of consistently utilizing these pathways, the brain undergoes a structural shift. Repeatedly activating the prefrontal cortex in this dopamine-rich state causes the neural networks to physically thicken and become more interconnected. Sustained focus does not require white-knuckling your way through misery when your biological limits are respected. Deep concentration becomes the natural result of working with your brain's hardware rather than fighting it.